Hey Deckers, today I'm taking a look at Killer Klowns from Out of Space, something I never thought I would hear myself saying, but a huge thanks to Illfonik for giving us a key to play this one early, as its full release is on the 4th, and this got 2 days early access. Now I'm very surprised at how well this is running on the Steam Deck, considering it is officially marked as unsupported, and I've got absolutely no idea why. No issues with matchmaking, graphics out of the box are damn impressive, and with a little bit of tweaking we get this game looking really good. So let's have a look first of all at the default settings, which is pretty much low everything but with TSR anti-aliasing, which is great because it actually makes the game look okay, but the lowest graphic settings do have a bit of hitch here and there, and we do still get some of those dips down later on, but it really doesn't matter that much. Although it's not a perfectly stable 50 to 60 frames per second for the most part, it doesn't really matter in this style of game, I find, as it does allow you to play very happily. And if you didn't have that frames per second counter up in those dip areas, a lot of the time you are not going to have a major problem. With those defaults, it does still dip down into the 30s very occasionally, but it's in sections where you're really not going to be paying much attention to that. And in the cutscenes, it's more than good enough at 40 to 60 frames per second as well. Even if we keep those low settings and put FSR2 quality on, boy does it look awful. Although we do get better frames per second, pushing up to the 70s in a lot of cases, that FSR2 really does struggle in this style of graphics, and I'm not sure why. Even though it does perform much better than some of the other games that we've seen in this series, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the anti-aliasing really has a bad time, and even if we do put the sharpening up, it really doesn't help it out. So I don't recommend with low graphic settings having FSR2, but if you use our recommended settings, you can use FSR 2.2 quality to get a little bit more out of it, but I don't feel it's needed. So my recommended settings is to put texture quality on high, pretty much everything else on medium, with view distance near, resolution scale 100%, motion blur off, keep shading quality at low, but keep the upscaling method to TAAU, and just for safety keep FSR2 quality on quality. And for the most part you're going to sit around 40 to 50 frames per second with a very good looking game. Now the game graphics on this are actually incredibly impressive, especially in the cutscenes and those main menu, but for getting a good balance in game, then you are going to enjoy these settings. And as you can see here, even in the cutscenes we're still pushing 60 to 70 frames per second with those recommended settings. You are going to sit around the 22-23 watt mark though, so only around 2.5 to 3 hours gameplay on the OLED, and you're going to be looking at about an hour and a half on the LCD. Now one of the other great things about this game is if you do die as a human, you get to play loads of little mini games, get the chance to get your allies or even yourself some new weapons and abilities when you spawn back in. And oh yeah, you can actually spawn back in as humans, so being killed is not the end of your game. However, if you are a clown, don't think that you're going to be completely safe either, as you can be killed as a clown as well, but you just get a respawn timer, and it does take a bit of teamwork on both the human and the clown parts to survive and win the rounds. There's quite a lot of aspects to this game which does push it much further than things like Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Dead by Daylight. Not to mention the fact that it actually works properly for so far on the Steam Deck, but the games do run around half an hour and they do have a final timer, so you are capped at that time as well. So you're not going to get stupidly long games or very short games either most of the time. And with the clown abilities of being able to jump around the field every now and then as part of the ability, so you can either back up your teammates or span a much wider area for searching for humans, it really does change the way you play. Let us know if you're going to be diving into this one, and if you have dived in already, then what you think of it so far. I've been enjoying this much more than things like Dead by Daylight or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, as dying is not the end of your game immediately, and not to mention it's looking fantastic and running great on the Steam Deck. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.